All right, New Englanders, we have snow coming for Thanksgiving. It's still not a super clear picture about what's going on, but let me tell you what I feel like we can say at this point. This isn't like Big Scary Nor'easter. This isn't like Bombogenesis. This isn't all of a sudden someone's going to get 2 feet of snow type of situation. It's a quick moving storm that doesn't have a lot of rotation to it, not a lot of power. But people care because it's the first really snowstorm that we've got coming this season. And second, it's falling on a holiday. So the characteristics of the storm are going to be as we look north to south, we're definitely going to see snow, lighter, fluffier snow in the far northern locations. There's going to be a gradient to wetter snow and more snow, heavier, like larger amounts, 6 inches, 8 inches, probably somewhere on order of that magnitude for the people. The worst, some isolated locations higher. Then there's going to be a sharp gradient of going mixed precipitation to rain, where it's like you may only have 20, 25 miles between those high amounts of snow and no snow at all. And then everything south of that's going to be rain. The interesting thing too is the amount of moisture, the most amount of rain, the quantitative precipitation for you, the liquid is what we're talking about, is actually going to be along the seacoast areas, but that's not going to translate into the snow. That's not where all the cold air is. So everything's just not coming together perfectly for this to be like a big snowmaker. So here's that QPF. The light blue is like 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches. For our area, you need 8 inches of snow in the forecast in order for them to put a winter storm watch out. And they're just not quite sure we're even going to reach that threshold, so they're holding tight and not putting those watches out quite yet. That's most of the elevations that like most of us live. Once you get above 2,500 feet, that's a different story. They'll probably see more in some isolated locations. Now, as we head over to my favorite graph model, we can see timing in this is that this is 6 a.m. when we're starting to see the precipitation pick up in Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, places like that. And we watch as we just click along with this. This isn't like a big rotating nor'easter. It's a nice, gradually southwest to northeast moving storm with just enough cold air up here in the northern part to make for there being some snow. It's going to move along. We're going to see that snow stretch down into the northwestern corner of Connecticut, western Massachusetts, and throughout places of New Hampshire and Vermont. And then it's on and out of here. This is midnight, Thursday night into Friday morning. So this is the graph snowfall forecast. And what I want you to notice is basically light blue is about 4 inches. Dark blue is up to 8 inches. And once we start getting some purples, that's potentially a foot. So you see maybe a couple isolated locations where we would see a foot of snow. But generally speaking, I think we're looking at like that 4 to 6 range for a wide swath. So once again, very light snow up here. Gradually, you have this like narrow band where snowfall amounts are be heavier. And they're very sharp gradient off of there where it goes from snow to rain. Despite only being like a day and a half out from this beginning, the forecast snowfall totals between the models are still wildly different. The graph's the one that I think is going to be the most accurate, but let me show you what the other opinions are out there. Depending on what snow ratio you use, the GFS sees a maxima through kind of central New Hampshire, exiting through southwestern New Hampshire and going through the western part of Massachusetts. We're looking at like 6, 7 inches where you see this little purple streak. GFS also has a much less impressive version. The Euro model paints a much more exciting picture, seeing pockets at higher elevations in southern Vermont, throughout New Hampshire, with the exception of sort of the seacoast area, with a widespread 6 to 8 inches. This snowfall ratio for the Euro is a little bit more robust, especially showing possibly over a foot in some isolated locations. This one's pinging it right on southern Vermont. I'm leaning towards the graph, which was the first one that I showed you, because not only is it just impressive, generally speaking, but it really falls right between these two forecast models. I think the GFS isn't quite catching it enough, and I think the Euro is a little bit too excited. So here's my forecast. I think there's a potential to see some places that could see 12 inches. There's a couple isolated places that I think could see a foot of snow. And that's going to be in southern Vermont at the higher elevations, possibly that northwestern corner, Massachusetts around Pittsfield, especially higher elevations there. And like that Jaffrey, New Hampshire area. I mean, you guys know, you just always get. Outside of that, I think it's a very broad 4 to 8 inches throughout the rest of the state of Vermont, with the exception of the northwestern corner where Burlington is. New Hampshire should have a pretty widespread, once again, 4 through 8, but that gradient out on the seacoast where it changes from snow to rain really easily, which is just where I'll happen to be spending Thanksgiving. Just a lot of rain, wet, soggy out there, no snow along those coastal areas. For Massachusetts, if I could draw a line from like the southwest corner of the state up to like Lowell, Andover, Lawrence type of areas right there. If you are north and west of that line, I'm expecting snow for you. If you're south and east of that line, it's going to be rain. And northwest corner of Connecticut, you're probably going to see a little bit of snow too. Otherwise, like the rest of Connecticut, rain, Rhode Island, rain, all of the Cape, Boston, rain. And then just to go over the timing again, we're going to see that precipitation really building during the early morning hours before the sun is even up. The precip's going to be starting going all day long and not ending until probably after midnight for a lot of locations, well into the evening at the very least. Let's see what the models say tomorrow and Wednesday as we all decide to travel on the one day that we can, because today wasn't a good travel day and Thursday won't be either. So good luck to everybody out on those roads tomorrow.